Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I'm your host, Alex Martinez, and today I am so excited to have Sarah Black on the show. Sarah and I met almost 10 years ago while she was a purple belt, and Sarah is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's also a black belt in Judo. She is an academy owner. She's a mother, and I remember Sarah for being so dedicated to the sport of Jiu-Jitsu, and she is as dedicated to raising her son. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. Ever since I let people know that you were coming on, I'm getting DMs and, ask this question, ask this, that question. But first, I just want to talk to you a little bit about, we can start anywhere, but I just want to get a little backstory. Like, how did you get into grappling to begin with? Why Judo? Why Jiu-Jitsu?
Oh, good. Questions I know the answer to.
Yes.
Whew, okay. Through my 20s, I was active in mountain biking and kayaking and rafting and kind of master of none. Lots of fun. And I broke my collarbone motocross.
Oh, wow. Motocross. Okay.
Yeah, I was terrible, but the bikes go faster than your ability. So
yeah.
I was sitting on the couch watching UFC highlights, and my friend was there. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, well, that's Judo, and that they're doing Jiu-Jitsu, and that's Muay Thai, and like, explaining the martial arts. Like, oh, wow. I'd never heard of it. This sport had been going on for like 10 years. The UFC had been going on. Yeah. I had no idea. And then I was just addicted to UFC 1 and 2 and 3. And
no way.
Yeah. I'm not anymore, which is amazing. But at the time, I was fascinated. Yeah. My friend did Judo. So, of course, recommended a Judo club. And I went and joined. And, kind of the rest is history. I was 26, my first Judo class. Okay. Yeah. And then I just had enough influences. Jiu-Jitsu guys would swing by. For some reason, at that club, they loved the groundwork. Yep. So they were always doing the groundwork. Yep. So we were probably just doing terrible jiu-jitsu. And it was fun. It was just fun. Yeah. And I just followed it. I didn't have a family at the time. So I followed down into the Bay Area, and I was with the Stanford Judo Club for a little bit. And then I got hooked up with Jason Morris, and I went out to the East Coast and, learned some incredible judo, like top-notch. Finally had some confidence, like, not that I'm gonna, be a judo coach or anything, but like, okay, I'm starting to get an understanding of the sport, and but at the time I had all these influences in jiu-jitsu, some friends that, would invite me over for 6 weeks at a time. My friend John in Illinois invite me over, and we'd train in his basement, jiu-jitsu, and I loved it. I got hooked up with Hapsamora, who gave me my blue belt. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. and of course he's friends with Gustavo. Yeah. Made that introduction. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been fun, man, and the people I've met along the way. I mean, what a cool life. Yeah. What a cool way. Yeah. I haven't seen the outdoors in a decade and a half, but who cares?
We're all low on vitamin D.
Who cares?
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't been on the mountain bike. I haven't been snowboarding. But it's okay. It's been an amazing journey. And yeah, that's how I got there. I just kept going and kept showing up, and my love in judo was a lot on the ground, and I finally made that transition fully to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And I went and I knew Gustavo was just an amazing human. Yeah. And man, his just teaching spoke to me. Yeah. Like, man, I just really clicked as his student. Yeah. And then of course, because he had the mental aspect, that really made all the difference. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I did, not that you can't do this older. We know you can. Jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. It's half chess. But, man, that I beat a lot of people that were better than me because I could show up and bring my best jiu-jitsu, because mentally I was more prepared. I had done a lot of work to figure out kind of what was holding me back within jiu-jitsu. Yeah. It took me later in life to apply it to the rest of my life. But, where the nerves were coming from in the tournament, and how to stay focused, and how to stay coming back to the beginning of the match, and, not get sidetracked by what she's won or how big she is or how fast she is, or, so a lot of that work, I mean, I attribute that to Gustavo and his influence on me, and that made a huge difference in my ability to be successful in the sport. Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, it's Gustavo Dantas out of Tempe, Arizona. He's got a school on University and McClintock. He's probably, I always credit him and Megaton and, probably, Tanquino for doing more for jiu-jitsu in Arizona than probably anybody else.
Yeah.
So that big influence. So tell me a little bit about what his mental strategies look like. How did that help you? What did he give you that helped you get on the mat and be more confident?
Man, awareness is a big part. We don't even really know what's happening for us. We're just showing up and we're not performing.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea, like, I didn't want to show up and perform better than I trained. I just as good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just as good as I trained. I
Yeah.
want to show up and do that, you know,
Yeah.
and like, you know, you're having adrenaline dumps and it's not fun. Not even fun. Like,
Yeah.
every single time you just want it to be over.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, it's like, why? Why are we doing this, you know?
Yeah.
So, man, that's probably one of the best things he gave me was my ability to find joy in competing.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, so we're all held back by different things.
Yeah.
You know, we're all, but what comes up for you when you go to compete? You know, does the voice start saying like, well, your family's going to be pretty disappointed in you if you don't win, if you don't
Yeah.
show up, if you don't compete good? Well, guess what? That's what's holding you back in life too.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So here's your tool. So jiu-jitsu
Yeah. can
be an amazing tool for growth. And it took me a while to apply my lessons of jiu-jitsu to life and
Yeah.
become aware and really expand and yeah, know that these are the same things that are holding you back in life can be found when you sign up for a tournament. The voices are the same.
The voices are all the same. Yeah. And you know, the head trash is really hard. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you say that you applied it to jiu-jitsu and then it just expanded. So it doesn't matter where you apply it, right? Yeah. It will expand eventually if you just understand like maybe a pattern recognition almost.
It can.
Yeah.
Someone had to explain that to me.
Yeah.
I think in terms of jiu-jitsu a lot. I think in terms of parenting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a coach to be like, hey, and by the way, that's true for life too.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, you know, and you know, but every time you look at something, you have to realize you already know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to see.
Yeah, my dad used to call things like that, like putting a name to the obvious, but it's not obvious until somebody points it out.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like a jiu-jitsu, like a technique in jiu-jitsu, like move your hand from here to there. Like, oh gosh, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. One of the turning points for me, more than a decade ago is I've been in sales for, over 20 years, and I was in a sales training class. And, somebody asked, like, what is it that your customers are doing that is really like really annoying you? And I said, or no, what are you allowing your customers to do is what they asked. And I said, when I give a customer a proposal and they kind of ghost, I just kind of let them, I just kind of let them ghost. And the guy looked at me and he goes, I guarantee that's what you do to people in your life. So I sat there and I was like, I'm a jerk. But I called a friend of mine and I asked him, I was like, hey, do I do this? And he's like, and I knew the answer, and he's like, yeah. And it affects us. And I'm like, oh gosh, but I changed that one thing. And like you said, it just expanded into other things. So it changed. That was a life-changing moment for me. So it's kind of the same situation there.
We can only see it in others if it exists in ourselves.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about competition a little bit because I'm, I stopped short of saying that people today are spoiled, but you were coming up in an era where women's jiu-jitsu wasn't looked down upon at all, but it was kind of, I would say, overlooked, where the men had, masters 1 through 7 or whatever, and women had like masters 1 and 2, and that's all you got, right? So what was it like, going through that era? And you're literally a pioneer. I mean, you were one of the people bringing that sport to where it is today. What is that like to you? What does that feel like to you?
I missed that. I didn't realize any of that. I didn't know that there was only masters 1 and 2. I mean, I was doing adult division.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize. And, I thought I met the pioneers as white belt, and they had paved the way for me.
Yeah.
Letitia and Annette Stack was a big one that was big influence on me. I met her as a white belt, and when I was doing judo, and it was really, really inspirational. And to me, like those were the pioneers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were doing brown and black divisions.
Yeah.
maybe purple too. You
never know. Yeah.
You never know. So I'm not feeling that. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be a pioneer. That's fine. And I wasn't really realizing I have a ton of respect for the women that are, paving the way and fighting for all of it and doing, and I support you and and also it's like, it's not always where my focus is, but man, I do support the movements and I do support the fight and I offer women's jiu-jitsu classes at my academy because I think it's important that there's a gateway sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I want a gateway for everyone.
Of course.
Like for whatever's holding you back for coming in that door, I wish I could offer a class for that group of people. Women's is a pretty obvious one. There's usually going to be some physical differences, not always.
Yeah.
You know, but it's pretty obvious, and the statistics aren't good. Like I won't throw statistics out, but they're not good as far as how many women have been sexually assaulted, right? Like,
right.
You know, so the abuse and the trauma and the things that women have survived, man, it can hold them back from wanting to go in and do an adult class, you know. And I just want to create this place of safety for them. Man, is it necessary? Absolutely not, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not indicative of how it's going to go for them either.
Yeah.
I have women who like will only start through the women's class, and then they're the best competitors.
Yeah.
Right? They're fierce, and they just needed that little bit of safety.
Yeah.
And just create a little bit of safety, like what's the objectives here, what I'm trying to do, what's a good position, bad position. And once they get it, they're good to go, you know? But it doesn't, to me, matter the reason, you know? I want this place for them to come and realize what they can do, you know? And whether they stay exactly in that women's class forever, and that's just the place for them, or if they move on. At Gustavo's, we had an incredible women's team, and man, they were all doing regular class. They were all going to the mixed gender, but we'd come hang out a couple times a week. We're friends, you know. It's community. It's
of course.
You know, so yeah.
So tell me about your women's only program. First let's start from the very beginning. A woman walks into your academy. What does that conversation sound like? Do you lead with that? Maybe lead with the women's program, or do you?
Yeah, probably. I offer it, but I also follow up with, it's not necessary. You know? You know, some women would be like, well, I don't need to go to women's class. What are you talking about? Like,
right.
That's totally fine. So you know, and some are just like, ooh, that sounds really good. That sounds inviting. That sounds safe. That sounds like a good way through for me. So I usually always do offer the path with a quick follow up of like, and you don't have to.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Now, once they get into that program, what does that program look like? Do you teach it like a regular class, or is it more of a self-defense-ish kind of thing, or how do you run that?
I stick mostly to sport jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And catered to the newest student.
Okay.
That's kind of my philosophy. Sometimes we can be going off, you know, the regular adult curriculum, but not usually, because most of the women in the room are doing the adult program.
Yeah.
Like they're in the regular classes. So, my philosophy is like, come late, leave early, bring your kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, this is just a place. Come get jiu-jitsu. Be a community of women. Learn something here. We can do self-defense sometimes, but mostly I'm teaching them sport jiu-jitsu, and my hope is like, you know, as they improve and get better and build confidence in what they can do, that they'll expand out to the regular classes. Yeah, you know, my intention isn't to keep them.
Gotcha.
In there. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's more of a gateway for you.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah. It's great. So and you've expanded that. Well, maybe you can help me with this, because Amy, I think Amy missed the last getaway in, is it Prescott?
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
Yeah. So she went to the one, not the last one, but the one prior to that. She loved it.
Yeah.
She made a lot of new friends. One of my white belts will never miss one. I mean, you could have it on the moon. She'd find a way to get there. Yeah. Caitlin. And she absolutely loved it. By the way, she said to say hello.
Yeah. Hi, Caitlin.
And so tell me about that. Is that something that you came up with, or is that something that you're just you just volunteer for?
I probably came up with nothing. That's for sure. As far as the women getting together doing things, I'm definitely not the pioneer of that.
Yeah.
But why? Yeah, we didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so kind of making that little investment to buy some mats and a trailer, and find a place in Prescott. What was the inspiration? It didn't exist. It didn't exist yet in that look, in that regard.
Yeah.
So I really can't remember. You know, I just knew. I knew build and they'll come. I just knew I'm gonna get some mats. I'm gonna go to Prescott. I'm gonna ask who wants to come. It probably started with, hey, let's just do an in-house. Let's take all the women up. Hey, why not bring some more? Why not bring others up? Why not, bring more? Like, bring our friends. Oh, man, the women's community in Arizona. Yeah.
Awesome,
Everyone
right?
should be jealous. Everyone. Every community should be jealous
Yeah.
of the Arizona women's community.
For sure.
Man, so supportive.
Yeah.
And so high level, you know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's really, really cool. So my friends and I, who sometimes we only get to see each other at the retreat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right?
Okay.
You know, just busy lives and all the things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get together and do these retreats, and you can pat me on the back, but I don't do anything. I honestly don't do anything. I just invite these awesome women to come up and like show their jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And they do it all. And the energy that the women bring that come, like, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we left the first one, and one of the women went out and just looked around. She goes, "I've been looking for you for 10 years. Not me, but
yeah.
she was looking at the community around
Yeah.
her. Like, I've been looking for you guys."
Yeah.
You know, and it's true. So it's really cool.
Those immersion camps, you come back a different person.
You
right?
can.
From
Yeah,
those, yeah.
you can. Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't, you know, when you start getting into a routine, it's good and bad, right? Routines that are positive, you're eating right, you're drinking your water, you're getting your exercise, do that stuff. And then you get taken out of your routine, right? But then you end up with all of these like-minded people. You're surrounded by like-minded people, and you're spending a few days with them, right? And you're just immersed in this culture. There's no way you can come back the same person.
Yeah, I think for some of them, they suddenly feel not alone.
Yeah.
You know, not alone in their struggles of, you know, being a mom and trying to get to jiu-jitsu, of being the only woman in the room, of, you know, there's someone there that has their same struggle, and, you know, suddenly there's just so many. And when the women come into my academy now, I'm like, you're going to like this community. You're going to like this community. And by the way, there's a lot of friends here, and this is really cool, and you're going to like going to these, you know, girls and geese and all these things. So, you know, I'm almost like so excited for them. Just wait.
Yeah.
You're gonna have really cool friends. So
Yeah. Well, I can imagine like you going from California to the East Coast, and then to, did you say Chicago? Like Midwest somewhere?
I would hang out there. I would hang out there for weeks and weeks at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's almost like a mini immersion camp for you, right?
Yeah.
So
that
kind of got you
my life
deeper
was an immersion camp. Yeah. You don't have a family. You go where you want. I used to say,
Yeah.
like, the roads go both ways. So I'd go this way. I'd stay there for a year, 18 months, and then I'd be like, okay, you know, what's next? Yeah. I definitely wasn't. I mean, you're loyal, but I didn't have that, like, this has to be for me. I have no other choice. I can't go anywhere. I was always like, okay, what's next for me? What's next for me? I really wanted to learn judo. So I went to the East Coast to learn from Jason Morris.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, I could have stayed longer. I could have been better. I could have learned more. I could have. And I was ready. My body was ready to, like, okay, let's go to where you do want to end up living, which is in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And let's start that journey.
Yeah.
Because I was pretty terrible at jiu-jitsu. I got to Gustavo's.
Funny how that works, right?
Oh man, yeah. He was watching one of my tournaments before I moved there, but I had contacted him and said, and I had known him before, trained with him a little bit, and I said, hey, I'm gonna be at the tournament, and you know, and he was watching, and you know, as nice as he could be, like afterwards, I walked over to him, and I'd lost, you know, and he's like, what were you trying to do? Like,
Wow.
I was trying to win.
Yeah.
But and it was another year at least with Gustavo before it was like, oh, okay, you have a foundation now, and now you can build your jiu-jitsu on that. So and no fault of any coach or anything before. I wasn't putting in the time.
Gotcha.
I wasn't putting in the dedication at that academy to learn that foundation. And it all clicked when I went to Gustavo's.
Yeah.
I got an apartment across the street from his academy, and I would walk across the street 2 times a day. Yeah. And I was really obsessive about learning how he saw jiu-jitsu foundationally. Yeah. And if you saw us, we look nothing alike. And that, to me, is a sign of an incredible coach that can coach someone that plays nothing like them, right?
Yeah.
But he was giving me foundation, and so with that foundation, then I could build my game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So later in my career, I was coached by Marcio Andre. So yes. So this
Wow.
was more like
I
saw Marcio. I'll get the year wrong. Let's call it 2016.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone in jiu-jitsu. Okay.
Right.
I don't know anybody. I know you know everyone. I know nobody. Okay, so
everybody knows you. Just so you know.
Okay, well, thank you. So I'm sitting in the stands, and my partner Nigel says, "Hey, that guy is on our team, Novanyao, and he's going right now, and he's really good." And I'm like, "Okay, let's take a look." And I peek down at the mats, and I spot Marcio Andre, and it was probably 20 seconds later. I want to play like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That is it right there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so a couple years later, Nigel comes and he goes, hey, guess who's coming to Gustavo's?
No way.
Marcio Andre. I was like, no way, you know? And it was at a time too, Gustavo's, doing his thing with this podcast and self-development. And, man, they're and Marcio's big into competition, but it was just, it was a really beautiful transition. Then I could go like, okay, Gustavo gave us a beautiful foundation, right, to build my jiu-jitsu. And I did. I built some pressure passing and some really successful some things. And then here's Marcio Andre, and I'm like, I'm going to emulate you. I'm going to be like you. My knees are going to work like that. I'm going to, he does things I can't do for sure. Yeah. But it was more like, okay, now I have this coach that I want to fight like this, So it's been a really, really beautiful thing, kind of coming together, and it's been a fun career. It's been super interesting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the I don't want to call it the high point by any means, but at one point you were in the top 10 of all adult women at the black belt level.
Yeah, in 2016, and I did this under Gustavo.
Yeah.
As my coach.
Talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's got to be a hard climb to get up to that, the top 10.
You sign up for a lot of tournaments. You just
score
pay
a lot
of money, score a lot of points, and keep going. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, you keep showing up. You keep showing up, it's going to happen. But you do need to win them too. You need to have some wins. And man, it was all kind of paying off. It was all kind of paying off. And I was having this really cool year where I was really, really healthy. I came back from my neck surgery, had a fusion, and I was really fit and healthy and able to, and I didn't have my son yet, still had pour a ton of time into it. I had this job that was financially supporting me,
Nice.
So it definitely all fell into place. And it was really important that as a blue belt, I treated myself as a professional, because it's so easy not to,
Yeah.
And so as a blue belt, I was doing all of this foundational work, a lot of the mental stuff, trying to figure out how to show up my best, and competing, getting rid of the nerves or lessening them or being able to rise to the occasion. And then my black belt year, boom, it just started falling into place. And I would show up and I would compete like I trained.
Yeah.
And I would compete like I trained and compete like I trained. And the hard part was, or the sad part was, sometimes my competitors wouldn't. That's where I'm beating people I shouldn't.
Gotcha.
This happens, like they actually have more jiu-jitsu. Yeah, and their style of jiu-jitsu could beat me if they could get there, right?
Yeah.
And they're not able to show their jiu-jitsu because mentally, like, they're just, it's just not coming together for them.
Wow.
So
Is there something like a routine that you do before you would go on the mat?
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah, for a long time. I knew exactly. I'm gonna bring this food for the night before. I cannot go to dinner with the team. That's not for me. I'm gonna be in the hotel room. I'm gonna go to bed early. I'm gonna get there, feeling pretty hungry, which I'm gonna like hungry, not like fall over hungry, but like I want to be hungry.
Yeah.
I don't want food in my belly, and I would get to the tournament exactly the number of hours early, that I knew that I wanted, and then I would go to the back and I would read through kind of like this confidence journaling that I had created for myself, like. Sometimes looking, like, even thinking of bad situations, like the TV malfunctions, like, okay, TV goes out. Oh, you rip your pants. Oh, yeah. Just little things. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's not that I'm sitting there like I want to manifest these things to happen for me, these bad things to go, but I would bad position myself.
Yeah.
Boom, I pull, and I'm in flat half. Like, boom, 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 boom. I'm, like getting to the next part. So not sitting in these bad scenarios enough to make them happen, but just to get myself prepared. You don't want to be like, I pull and she's towards my back and I've lost the match. Oh, what am I going to do now? This is such a, you want to be prepared for all of these things. So I was back there doing all this preparation work mentally, and then I would start physically warming up, and I was pretty darn good at like. Gustavo gave me this, like, had a baseball bat, and every thought that came in that wasn't helpful, he would swing it. He'd actually hit the thought, right? And I used it. Boom. I would just swing the bat. Boom. It was gone. Like, did you prepare? And boom. I don't need that thought.
Yeah.
Oh, she won that. Boom. I don't need that thought. And
really
putting myself, if I was really struggling, back to the start of my match.
Yeah.
Right at the start of my match, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? What am I looking for? And just recentering myself back to kind of home base.
Wow. That's awesome. I got chills.
Cool.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I eavesdropped on one of your conversations once, and you were talking to somebody about being in a match, and you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember things incorrectly a lot. But if I remember correctly, you said there's 3 different ways you fight a match. You fight one way when you're behind, you fight another way when you're tied, and then you fight another way when you're ahead. And you called it managing the fight. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh gosh, that was so good. You should have wrote it down. I was like,
I stole it. Yeah,
I'm
nothing's
totally
mine, but it's true. You train this way too.
Yeah.
You specifics wise, you're like, okay, hey, you're behind, you're ahead, you're ahead, you're behind. Because sometimes you're in side control, but you're ahead.
Yeah.
No, why are you looking for a submit? Why are you fighting so hard for a submission that you're not going to be able to fight your next match?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Man, manage your match.
Yeah.
You want to end that match with the maximum amount of strength and energy for your next one. Sometimes that does mean submission.
Yep.
So, and sometimes it doesn't mean submission.
Right.
This guy's curled up into a ball. Why are you going to rip him apart trying to get a submission when you could just lay on him?
Yeah.
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 So, 100%. Like we need to train for all of these scenarios. Specifics are great for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you do that a lot in your training? A lot of specifics?
I do a lot of specifics in my training in my academy for myself. Yeah. And my students are mostly white belts. It's so important to do specifics. And I learned this, through Gustavo and how he taught the white belt. Because, man, when you get in positions you haven't studied, that's where you get hurt, right? We know, like, the main injury is ribs for white belts, right? So, man, just train the positions that you're studying, and they're all going to come together.
Yeah.
It's all gonna make sense, right? You're going to fill in the blanks. So, mostly specifics. And, for myself, too, because jiu-jitsu for me right now is like, I don't need another round of trying to pressure pass around your guard. I'm so over it right now.
But
There's going to be a time.
at it.
I'm just like, and man, I can get better at it. And if but it's just not doing anything for me. So specifics, I'm going to play on my back. I'm going to try to work on my guard work. I'm going to like something that sounds interesting to me. Like, let's lose again. Let's so specifics are really important for that. Yeah. That piece of it. So I go down into monkey in the middle. I get some grips and I start working on my guard because it feels so much more interesting than pressure passing someone one more time.
Yeah. And I was going to ask a question and you kind of halfway answered it. But as far as getting let's go into preparing. You have your way of preparing yourself for competition. How do you prepare a new person coming in? How does that conversation go when somebody is in your academy, white belt, and maybe they've got 6 months under their belt, and they come to you and they say, "Hey, professor, I'm thinking about doing the next competition." What's your answer to those folks?
That's cool. My academy's 3 months old. So. So we're talking about. We've already had some students like, "Hey, I want to do this. Let's do this," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this." And let's get a couple stripes. Let's understand all the possible positions. It's about staying safe too, and a little bit confidence wise. Yeah, same with the kids. We want to optimize. We want to be able to keep our confidence up. So the big thing is, are they going to be able to physically and mentally recover from what happens? And when it feels like the answer is yes, like okay, let's go. And I'm not gonna stop someone. I'm going to have 2 stripes on your belt. Yep, and then let's go. And I'm not going to stop someone from signing up. And cool. Now I get to help them mentally prepare. Which in some academies is missing. It's like, hey, I'll see you there, and good luck on that. Not always, but
one of the conversations that I have with folks who want to compete, and especially if I'm not 100% sure that they're ready to, like you said, mentally and physically recover from what happens. I always tell them, like, there's going to be, I don't know, about 1,500, maybe 2,000 competitors there, and there's a really good chance someone's going to get hurt. My job is to make sure it's not you, right? And so I have that conversation. I'm very blunt about it, and I just think, like, when you said about safety, that is absolutely where I come from. I'm really big on athlete safety. To a fault, I think sometimes, and I don't mean to hold people back. I just like the 90% of the injuries that I've seen from students coming out of, going into a tournament for the first time is, number one, not being in shape. they stall, they wait, and then someone else initiates, and they end up with a hurt knee or a hurt arm or a broken rib, and I can't have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm definitely on the side of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to the fault of like, maybe I'm holding people back sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll do that with the new students. Like, I really encourage you to go back into the specific we just did. And some of them are like, I can't, I have to start standing. I have to, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm the coach that walks around and is like, oh, stop.
Yeah.
I don't like anything happening here. Stop.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, maybe I'm not the place to train, and that I'm okay with that too. You know,
Absolutely.
maybe it's not for me. I want more jiu-jitsu to come to the community so we all find that place of just like, man, I just want to go. I don't care what. Like, okay. But I'm gonna stop you right now, and then you'll find the place that feels best for you to train. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So let's talk about you as an entrepreneur.
Okay,
and we can start anywhere you want, because you've basically had, you've had the entrepreneurial spirit, I don't know, pretty early on, right? I mean, you own your own academy now.
Yeah.
But what other things have you done along the way to prepare you for this endeavor, right? South Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. What did I do to prepare? That's so good. Okay, so. Man, I was lucky enough to be able to teach at Gustavo's, and he invested in me. Okay, so he helped me get an online program for kids, jiu-jitsu, studying, understanding class structure, how to best teach. Then I found my own way with it, right? And then I have my parenting stuff, and I have my parenting philosophy, and they kind of meld and mesh. And so I've been deep into, man, how can we coach kids, right, in the most positive way, and effective? Like, we want to teach them jiu-jitsu too, right? But man, we want to help them grow up to live the life that they want to live, whether it's jiu-jitsu or not. Right. So we want to help these kids, be confident and resilient, and right, know their worth regardless of outcome. And man, this is what's most important. So I had this playground at Gustavo's where he let me teach the kids' classes, really, really believed in me, invested in me. And I spent years kind of like studying and honing and practicing and pushing myself and realizing I'm doing it wrong and trying something different. So, and then I said, okay, Gustavo, I really like doing this, and I'm gonna go do it, right? And he said, I really support you. And
awesome.
And of course, this is Gustavo,
Yeah,
right? So,
of course.
Yeah, and whatever I needed to go, but I needed that time there, because I'd been asked for. I didn't do this to have my own academy, even though if you would have asked me, why are you competing like that? Why are you like, well, because I might want to coach someone one day, and I want to have gone through it, right? And like, but I was never a yes on an academy. I wasn't for a long time. Like, I don't want to run a business. I don't want to worry about the physical location. I don't want to, wonder about, this membership and that member. And, and I was always so grateful to Gustavo that I could kind of hone this craft in this way for him. And I hope it brought him a lot of value too.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah.
So it was a great, I think, I don't know. It was just a great place for me to kind of hone this. And every day I would drive to Gustavo's to teach the kids. I wasn't like, oh, I got to do this class. Never. Yeah. And I also wasn't going, this is the way I'm going to change the world.
Right. Yeah.
Am I going to be a positive influence on these kids? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You're right. Is this going to be, is this going to be a good, yes, this is so good. And I enjoy it so much. And this isn't exactly how I'm going to change the world, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that. I knew this wasn't, being a jiu-jitsu kids coach wasn't exactly it. But it's my gift and how I'm going to reach. Yeah. Right? So I did this academy because, I want to reach these families. They walk in the door and say, all different reasons why kids to do jiu-jitsu. Sometimes self-defense, sometimes exercise, sometimes, but a lot of times discipline. Yeah. My kid needs respect. He doesn't respect me, discipline, and I want to help these families and these parents understand, jiu-jitsu has these things, but really these are values that we live at home. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But what does it mean? And really they have to get to the bottom of like, what is discipline to you? Right. So interesting. Yeah. What does it mean to have discipline? because you're going to have a million different answers.
Yep.
A lot of times you're going to get to the bottom of it, and discipline means to do what I say. Why aren't you doing what I say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it means like, no, like structure and sticking to and having discipline and showing up to your commitments. And okay, discipline, cool. So discipline's a big word for me. Respect, my kid needs respect. So for me, it's been this place of like value-led coaching, right? So value-led life, value-led parenting, value-led coaching, like how we're going to affect these kids. It is by coaching and living out the values. Okay, so they come in and they want discipline and respect. Well, this is what I'm going to show them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about how do we live in our values even when the child can't.
Yeah.
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 And how do we stay in that? So this is my playground for practicing what I preach.
I
right?
love it.
And
yeah.
figuring out, where I need to grow and how I need to grow.
Yeah.
It was even different when my son came on the mat and I started seeing things differently,
Yeah.
Because it's like my son came on the mat one time and we were playing a game, pull the tail, right? To practice facing your partner and not turning away. And they're pulling the tail, and my son's like, it's much more fun if I run away and then you chase me and try to pull my tail.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, but that's not the skill that we need. We need to face each other. He's like, but my way's so much more fun. I'm like, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a couple of rounds of my way.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you do a round of your way. But this isn't something I would have seen if it wasn't my son.
Right.
Right. Because this is someone I'm used to working with and
Yep.
figuring out how are we going to get this done and how are we going to do this. It's like, okay, we're going to do it this way here, and then we're going to finish up with your way. And then, that sound good? Like, yeah, that sounds good.
That's
so
cool.
I'm starting to see things differently just through the eyes of my son being on the mat with me, which is really fun.
Yeah, I so my kids coach at Aries East Mesa BJJ is very young. And she's dedicated her whole life, like you. She's dedicated a lot of her life to grappling, to jiu-jitsu, and Yesenia. I think you know Yesenia. So she is a fantastic coach. And it's she's about the kid size.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
good partnering.
and good partnering. But there is some she's young, and I always tell people, like, she's a great coach right now, but I see her for who she's going to be 5 years from now, right? So there's going to be lumps along the way. You and I both know. We were both kids coaches. We made mistakes, right? Yeah,
definitely,
plentiful.
Definitely.
So, but I think along the way, like you, her perspective on life is going to change because she's getting married soon. Maybe she'll have a family in 5 years. Everything changes and she's going to evolve. I'm so excited to see who she's going to be 5 years from now for the same reason.
Yeah.
Look, if it weren't for your son, you wouldn't know that, maybe we got to blend a little bit with old school, new school kind of thing, right? Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. So tell me about from the you and I were exchanging messages, and it sounds like you blend the parenting and kids coaching aspect together. Like it almost sounds like you have a parents program on how to empower kids and how to help the kids. Is that right?
Well, that's the idea. That's the idea that the academy is a place, for parents too.
Yeah.
So it's very much a platform to reach families. But man, parents need to see it. They need to see, like, man, I don't need to punish your child. I don't need to be stern with your child. I actually just need to build relationship and connection.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach in safety. I'm going to teach in safety. And so part of my job, especially at the beginning, is like helping parents realize, like, how can they support me in that, creating safety.
Nice.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as gently as I can, I'm talking about, they want to help me. They want to help me, and their child's talking in class, right? And they want to help me, and I get it, and they want their child to bring their best selves, and it is our jobs to work PR for our kids. My kid's having a meltdown here, I would take him away so we could do it in private. Yeah. So it is my job to work PR. And so I get that. And also, it's okay, I'm the coach, and I can see this, and it's going to be okay, right? And so I know, and so part of it's like, just kind of creating that separation. I have a really small academy, and I tell my parents, I have a wall. And you can't see it, but it's there. And you're allowed to walk through the wall if it's a matter of safety.
Okay.
Yeah. So If something's up or something doesn't feel right, you need to say something or do something. Yeah, by all means, of course, safety. But other than that, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. And even if I don't got it, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to build relationship.
Yep.
Yeah. So let me build that relationship with them. Let me build that connection with them, and let me problem solve our problems together. And I'm gonna teach them how to problem solve our problems.
Yeah.
So I don't need to be stern with your child, And it doesn't mean that part of our problem solving is, maybe it doesn't work out to do this class today. We're just struggling, you know. This is a really extreme example. In fact, it's never happened, right?
Yeah.
That I've had to ask the kid, like, hey, but it can feel perhaps like a punishment to the child, like if I had to say, it's just, we need to take a break today, right? And come back tomorrow, and I believe in you, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow, and let's do this. But this is a really extreme example.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've never had to ask a child to leave class. I've always been able to bring them aside. And you're like, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do that. But also, in the long run, it's easier and it's better. And yes, I can get to the same outcome with coercion as I do connection. I can get there. Yeah. So I can bribe them, punish them, threat them, be stern with them, keep them in line, put them in order. And the outcome could be they don't talk in class, right? And I can connect with them and explain what we can do and how much more we can accomplish, and then take the ones aside and figure out a plan for how we can keep focused in class, and I can work with the kids and we can get to the same outcome of, we all know not to talk while I'm coaching so that everyone can hear and and the class can run efficiently and all the things. I can do it two ways. The outcome can look very, very similar. You can walk into a studio where the coach is, stern but what's happening inside the kids? What's happening inside the kids about what they believe about themselves? Right. So how we talk to kids is how they're going to talk to themselves for the rest of their life.
Wow.
Right. And we know this because we're unprogramming ourselves little by little, how we were talked to and how we want to talk to ourselves.
Absolutely.
So, I'm value-led coaching. I'm living out my values in coaching.
Wow.
I'm living out my values in parenting, never perfectly.
Yeah.
Right. And when I'm not perfect, that's what repair is for. That's what I'm sorry is for. Here's how I'm going to change and do better. Right. So, and this is how kids learn. You can think back to your parents or your caregivers and the values that they lived out, that they didn't necessarily preach to you. They just lived them. It's just how they are instilled in you. Right? It wasn't something that they were taking time teaching you or punishing you if you didn't do. Not those values. No, just the ones that they lived out. For me, for my parents, integrity. Integrity.
Yeah.
Honesty. Man, the most honest people I know. My dad was a real estate agent, but he called himself a matchmaker. What are your needs and what's available? I
love it.
Matchmaking. Like he couldn't sell you anything.
Right.
They say play poker with my dad because if he bids, fold. He's just so honest.
Yeah.
He has such integrity. My mom too.
Yeah.
They just lived this. They didn't tell me don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't show up with integrity. Like if you believe it, do it. They didn't say these things. They didn't punish me for this. They just lived it, and it lives inside me.
Yeah.
This is not something I have to work for. It just lives inside me. Now there's other values that don't live inside me. You're like, stop yelling at your brother. Don't hit your brother. Like, oh, Mom, you're yelling at me. Like that. Like we couldn't quite live the values that they wanted me to have, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, they're night and day to their parents, who's night and day to their parents, and we're getting better and better.
Yeah.
But if we coach and parent with intention of, man, I'm actually to live my values.
Yeah.
I want my kids to respect me. Ooh, guess what? Then I have to stop saying respect is earned. I need to give them respect and show them what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, this is my life. This is my work. And to me, this is the important part of owning the academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying because it, and I'm guilty of a lot of the things that you talk about. Like, I'm stern with the kids. And I always, in a selfish way, I'm like, well, I've got to get through this curriculum, right? I can't stop and teach this kid something right now, values-wise, because I'm trying to get through. And if you take a step back, I think we got to look for that delayed gratification, right? And take that step back and like you said, build that connection with the kids. And, I really love what you're doing because that connection building is going to last way longer than any stern push-up punishment that you give them, right? I really like that. How did you build that? Where did that come from? Like, where did you think, like, I'm going to apply this to the kids class, and it's obviously working because you guys are doing a great job. Where did that come from? How did that, like, is that something you learned early on when you were teaching at Gustavo's, or is that something you developed as you grew?
I developed it as I had my son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to enjoy parenting. I wanted to find joy in parenting.
Yeah.
And
Do you realize how much you lit up when you mentioned your son? You lit up
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's true. True story. Yeah. He did light me up, and he woke me up. And it was, I just wanted a different way. Like I said, my childhood, my parents were doing the best they could and providing for us. My mom was showing up for me, taking me everywhere. But I didn't want a yelling household. Right. I knew it didn't feel good for her. I knew it didn't. Yeah. And I practiced peaceful parenting. Like, what peaceful parenting doesn't look peaceful. right? Yeah. But had my mom be able to live in her values she didn't want to yell. She just didn't know a better way, right? Yeah. Man, she's not wrong. She's doing the best she can. But she would have been able to be in peace had she been able to live by her values. That's part of what keeps us from feeling peaceful. It's like, I'm living out of alignment with myself. I'm living out of alignment with myself. Like, these are my values. This is who I am. Yeah. So a peaceful parent, nothing is peaceful about it. My kid is a kid. You don't know I'm a peaceful parent if you meet him. Right. He was breaking down right down when we got here. I want to stay because he's a kid, and this is exactly what kids do. Of course. You only know a peaceful parent by watching the parent. Yeah. Like, okay, what's your reaction to that, or what's your response to that, or how are you going to show up for that? So, and I guarantee you, Alex, the reason your kid class, it does work, and it may be stern and maybe push us, but those kids, you do have connection with those kids. Yeah. Right? Those kids, you have a lot of love for those kids. Those kids know, this isn't something we have to be perfect at, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying, like, you can't give your kid push-ups, or you can't, right? Man, there's some rapport here. Yeah. There's connection here. Yeah. It might be interesting to, like, hey, let me see how the week goes if I didn't give a punishment, but I try something this way. Yeah. Right. And just see. Like maybe it's just unnecessary. Maybe I can get the same end result. I'm not saying doing push-ups to kids, like, I don't like myself. I don't like it's not like that, because I know you. I know you're building connection with those kids. Yeah. I know you have rapport with those kids. And that's the most important thing. That's why parents don't need to kick themselves and, like, I'm messing all this up. You're not messing this up. No, you have this incredible relationship with your kid. Now just do that with intention. Yeah. That's it.
I love it. Yeah. I love it, with intention. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like anything else. If you want to be good at it, you got to practice it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. I love it. So tell me about your academy currently. Where is it, and why would you open an academy that far away from your house? Yeah. Tell me about the community. Tell me about the outreach. Tell me about how you were greeted by that community. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Okay. 27th Avenue in Southern.
Yeah.
So it's a Levine address, right on the border of South Mountain and Levine. Really underserved. There's no jiu-jitsu there. There'll be more. It's just great, because there'll be more marketing, more people, more time, more places to, like, everyone can find their home. Yeah. Right. It's not a one-stop shopping for jiu-jitsu. Everyone needs something else, something different. So there'll be more jiu-jitsu to come, which is great. But there wasn't jiu-jitsu there. We knew it. I wanted to be far enough from my professors that they could have. I didn't want to take students from where I was. This is really important to me. Yep. Which has been great. Didn't take any students. Nice. Building my own community, which is really what I wanted. And usually typically, from what I hear, I haven't been an academy owner before. The months leading up, to Christmas, it's slow. Yeah. And I can remember that as a kids coach. It was slow, and of course we weren't slowing, because people who've been looking for jiu-jitsu were like, you're here finally. I've been looking. I've been Googling every few months, and then here you were. So, we've had good success here, and then of course January 1st, and we expect we're doing great. Like the kids program is on fire. We're extending the schedule. The adult program going little by little, and the community has been excited that we're here as a place for them to be able to come and learn jiu-jitsu. So that's what's been happening. Most people like, I've been looking for jiu-jitsu in this side of town.
They've probably been driving, around the mountain to get to a place.
And some drove for a few years, and then they had not been training for a while because it's just too much for their schedule. So we're really happy that we can bring jiu-jitsu to this community, that they don't have to drive far for it. And the why was for the kids. The why was for the families.
Mm-hmm.
The why was to reach the parents. The why is because this is my platform. This is my gift. This is what I have to give. And also, I want to put into action what I preach. I want to put into action. I want to put it on display. I want you to come see, like how this can be. And I also want to teach kids jiu-jitsu for sure. And I want to show like, no, we can teach them really good jiu-jitsu. We can create, especially for the kids that want this, right? That really want to learn, that we can provide this for them in this way, in this kind of conscious coaching world, right? And of course, the empowerment of adults and women. And yes, jiu-jitsu is amazing for all of these things, and I want to be able to provide this to this community. But my most growth has been adult class, because I taught women's jiu-jitsu. Of course, I would go in and I would cover fundamentals class, or I would teach some judo stuff here and there, and so I was used to teaching adults. And man, I've always had a great response. Men or women, just like always so positive. But man, I've really grown here, and I'm always sending memes to my friend about, like this lion and this kitten. And I'm like, oh, me teaching adult BJJ. Like, I look down and like, there's not a single dude under 200 pounds here. And like, but man, I'm telling you, they're so excited to be there. I'm so excited to be there. I'm so excited to, hey, this is what I have to offer you. And they're like, yeah, I'll take it. It's so cool. And I think like for myself personally, I've experienced a lot of growth there. Like, it's been very, very interesting, and trying to size up people walking through the door. I'm not good at it. I haven't been right yet. I'm like, oh, I got to take care of this guy. And I'm like, oh, why don't he take care of himself? Okay. He's good. So
it's always good to lead with that mentality. Like, okay, I got to make sure he's okay or she's okay. And then when you see them kind of, it's almost like letting go of the little seat on the bike for the kid, like, hey, there he goes. He's doing it. So it's kind of cool.
He goes. It's so good. Yeah.
My, the day we opened up in the middle of 2020, which is probably not a great idea, but I was always I was worried about how the community would receive us, and I would worry about like getting people through the door, and I don't know. I mean, what's somebody would sign with me. I'm like, really? Okay. I mean, yes, of course, right? Yeah, but the day I saw my students interact with each other, like hugs and high fives and exchanging phone numbers, I'm like, okay, we've got something special going on right now.
That's cool.
And it's just grown from there. That can, we've had our bumps in the road. Had some bumps in the road, but for the most part, it's a really close team, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
That's so cool.
Just and everybody's like, oh, thank you for this. I'm like, you guys did all the work. I just have put mats on the ground, and you guys built this place.
Why did cool people walk through the door? Why did such cool people walk through the door? I'm like, hey, you want to go to lunch? Let's go to Angry Crab. Come on, let's go. Like, let's hang out. Like,
I love it.
Yeah, it's just this naturally amazing community that's just building itself.
Yeah.
And I take the time to talk a lot about, taking care of each other, bringing just the right round for your partner, and I said, you're gonna find the people you can bang with. You're gonna find them, and that's good. But also, man, help each other through. Let's go. Let's longevity. Let's do this for a long time. And no one's told me like, oh, you got to tell us that again. But I probably won't shut up about it, because I want to build it into the fiber of the community, like into the culture of the academy. And I want to build this into the people that have been there a long time, like, hey, come, hey, help them out. You know, like, so that they're the ones passing along the lessons of like, man, we want to see how long we can all stay in this.
Yeah. Do you remember back when you started, when it was kind of worn as a badge of honor that nobody, like hardly anybody stuck with it. You know, as a academy owner, I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my Like, I want everyone to stay.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, it's, you know, I always say it's for everyone, but people choose to do other things, and I'm totally good with that. You know, if I have a student that leaves me and quits training, I always feel like I failed them, you know, but if I have a student that leaves me and goes to, you know, maybe your academy, you know, maybe their needs changed. Right. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with somebody quitting jiu-jitsu completely, because it's done so much for me. It literally peeled me open and showed me who I really was.
That's so cool.
And I actually like that person.
But you wanted to meet that person.
I want to meet that person.
Did.
Yes.
Not everyone does. Not everyone's ready to meet that person. So.
And it just came at the right time. I was old. I mean, when I started, I was 40 years old. And I don't know, somehow I stayed in one piece, you know, and I'm really happy for it. But
because you guys take care of each other. Because it was built into the culture of the academy you came from.
It really was.
Take care.
Yeah. And I talk to the new students, and I always tell them, technique will never follow speed. You know, it's the other way around. Speed always follows technique. Do it the right way, and speed will come. If you try to do it fast in the beginning, you're gonna mess it up. And then, in the military, they called it training scars. When you do something wrong for so long, you can't do it right anymore because it's scarred into you. And I really don't want them to build those training scars. So I always tell them, go slow till you can't get it right, or till you can't get it wrong, right? And then slowly speed it up. And that's one thing. And the other one is, like, you're dance partners. You're not competitors, right? You're literally there to make each other look good, right? So the judges love it. And so give the right amount, like you said, give the right amount of resistance, get the right amount of pressure, and work together. And you'll be surprised. I always tell them, you'll be surprised the outcome. But it's a delayed gratification thing again.
It really is. And it is. It's like, man, you can beat your partner every single time with that escape that you're doing, because they don't know how to keep your leg when you're escaping the single leg that way. Or you can give him 4 different reactions, but 3 of them you might lose, by the way. Pretty terrible, I know. But also, man, like, we talk about the different ways to train, and because we do think, and I'm sure I thought forever, I have to win every single one. I can't give a reaction that might lose, or that I wouldn't give, or I don't understand, or that someone I would never do, but someone might.
Yeah. So, and how do you coach that? How do you coach, like, 2 new guys? Because you got a lot of white belts. I do too. How do you coach 2 new people that are like, we're doing something very simple, but somebody could potentially lose a tooth just because they're going so hard in the drills? How do you coach? How do you rein them back? What kind of words do you use?
Oh man, I talk too much. I'm pretty sure. I stopped them. A lot. Guys, relax. And I'm okay with this. I'm okay. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
Sometimes I'm going to feel I'm not my own cup of tea.
Sometimes.
So I get it. And gosh, this doesn't look fun. You guys struggle. I tell the kids, like, if I see your partner doing well, like, you're the one having the good class. Right? When your partner is learning. And this is this built into their stripe promotion.
You're right.
Right? Okay, how do I get a stripe, coach? How do I get a stripe? Well, when I look around and your partner's learning, that's part of you getting a stripe, right? I love that.
That's awesome.
It's true for adults too. Like, is your partner learning anything, or are they just blowing out their shoulder?
I have a guy, he's in his 60s. His name's Mitch. And Mitch, if you're listening, I love you. But I always yell across the room, Mitch, this is not a fight, even before they start. And he's like, got it, coach. And sure enough, Mitch is trying to kill his training partner. But he's an amazing guy. But that's one of the harder things, I think, to teach. Have you ever, I don't know if you've ever tried to teach a flow roll.
No. I still can't flow roll. So I forgive them. I forgive them. I'm like, you do one, I'll do one, right? That's a flow roll. So I've tried this, I've tried this one recently. Hey, jiu-jitsu is easy. So if it feels hard,
ooh, I love that.
It's probably needing something else.
And
for one of the kids, they're like, I was like, I kind of know when because jiu-jitsu is easy. See, you're gonna lift, you're gonna push, easy, right? So if it sounds hard, it's probably not right. There's a place to kiai. There's a place to put your energy. But that's a very explosive.
Yeah.
you know, but it's not a,
Yeah.
like,
For me, it's like this is what goes through my brain before I do something explosive. Okay, if this doesn't work, I'm in a lot of trouble.
yes.
But here we go. Yeah. Hey, I want to go back to the women's program.
Yeah. Okay.
And a very specific question that I got.
Sure.
I had a DM. Someone reached out when they found out you were going to be on the show, and they asked me to ask you about getting back on the mat after having a baby.
Oh yeah.
And what does that process look like? How long did it take, and what are the steps you took to effectively get back onto the mat?
Yeah. Oh, let me think back. My son will be 6 in February. Yeah, I don't know the timeline, right? But man, the answer is just take longer than you think.
Yeah.
It tends to be the regret.
Yeah.
Like the regret is too early, and now pelvic floor problem, and now my abs don't go back together. Now my so the problem is like always that I went too early, and man, I don't worry about the Instagram post of the woman that came back 4 days late. Don't worry, that's great for them.
Yeah.
Like it's good, and but also, man, really, really listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your doctor.
Yeah.
And you'll know, and as slow as you can go back in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't even want to give a timeline because it's not relevant.
Yeah, it's not. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. So listen to the body, listen to your doctors, and it'll come. I mean, it'll come. I mean,
you think a month matters,
right?
It does not matter.
Yeah, I tell my students that have injuries you may think you're superhuman, you're just human. You're just human.
Yeah.
Take your time getting back, and we'll be here waiting. I promise I won't shut the place down before you get back. So yeah. So tell me about what's coming up in the future. What are your plans for your academy? I know your coaching style. And I know how passionate you are about the sport and martial art. And Nigel, your partner, is an amazing guy. So you're going to outgrow your facility. You are going to outgrow your facility.
Thank you, Alex.
So tell me about the future of South Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I mean, we want to have these good problems, right? So we have a very small space. So we're running one class at a time. So we're as big as our schedule can be. That's what we can hold. Yeah, good problems to have. So I don't know the future. It's like Nigel asked me 10 weeks before October 4th in the car, do you want to open your own academy? And I stopped and I felt into it, and I was like, yeah, that's my platform. That's exactly what I want to do. That's how I want to reach. Yeah. Yes. 10 weeks later, open. Yeah.
Are you serious? That fast?
Yeah, I told Gustavo about the conversation the day after the conversation. Hey, Gustavo, because you don't know how fast things go.
Right.
So I went into Gustavo and said, Gustavo, I just want you to know we had this conversation.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you know about? I'm like, I don't know about, because could it be next year? I said, yeah, it could be next year. And also it could be, next month. I like, because I just know how things go. Yeah. And so as soon as Nigel and I had the conversation, Gustavo was the next to know, and then we just started driving around. And, it just, boom, lease agreement. Yeah. And, we make the modifications and we buy the mats, and it's just happening. Wow. And then we're open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part? What was the hardest part in that? I mean, it's a very short period of time. What was the hardest part about opening? And it could be anything. It could be psychological. It could be a physical thing that didn't come in or whatever.
Yeah, our wall mats didn't come in. They lost them.
That's always a thing.
Yeah,
they lost always them. A thing.
They lose them in the warehouse 4 times. So, but good problems. It's all good. Yeah, no. And my partner Nigel has done academies before. He had the academy with Marcio, at Tukey, and so I'm in good hands. Yeah, entrepreneur. I'm a head coach. Okay. Right.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah. And I'll help, but man, don't ask me to sign up a member. Like, he took me through that one time. This is not my expertise, not my passion in life, but I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there, and I need to know the back end, But man, I'm so lucky to have Nigel.
Absolutely.
Like he's just so good at this. So we have all these conversations. We pretend like it's my idea, and then we can move on.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened with Chris and I when we were opening our academy. We had a 1,500 square foot facility, and we were going month to month because we knew we weren't going to stay there. We wanted at least 4,000 square feet. So found a month to month, no problem. And you know, we're kind of setting the place up. We're painting, and you know, we got all the lights, and we got a little changing room set up, and kind of building. And then like, okay, the mats are scheduled to be here next week, Friday next week. We open that Monday, so we got the weekend to put the mats down, and we're just like doing our thing. We get a phone call from FedEx going, "Hey, where do you want these mats?" That day, by the way, that day we get a phone call from FedEx, and we're like, "What? Yeah, man, I'm outside." The FedEx truck with the mats was outside.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, okay. We opened the doors and we brought them out. We were set up and ready to go a week before we opened.
Wow.
I never thought that would happen.
Yeah.
That, you know, usually it's like, oh my gosh,
where are the mats?
We were completely like, I don't want to say relaxed, but we were like, okay, like we're in a good spot, you know? As far as the hardest thing for me is I'm very structured in that, like when I'm on my way to the academy, I'm like, I have the class going through my head, like how I'm going to run it, how it's going to flow, who's going to be there. I visualize a lot, and then I'll show up and there's a leak in the roof. That's my problem. Yeah. that's nobody else's problem but mine.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to deal with the leak in the roof. And sometimes, you know, when we first moved in, by the way, for those of you that are listening that are not from Arizona, you find out about leaks in the roof like the day it happens, right? There is no like, and it happens like twice a year. So, and you know, you'll walk in and ceiling tiles are on the mats. Okay, what do you do? Okay, you pivot. I mean, that's all you can do. You got to deal with it. That's been the toughest thing for me, to deal with those types of things. Yeah, it's. My wife will tell you that I don't deal well with them, but I do the best I can.
Yeah, you should visualize on your way to, what if?
Yeah.
What if the ceiling tiles are on the mat?
Yeah,
what am I gonna? Ooh,
but I'm totally stealing your pregame warm up with the mental. But maybe I'll do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if this
just
happens,
a couple.
I'm gonna be
to
fine.
Get yourself ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna be fine. Yeah, but do you find that to be? I mean, I don't know if that's the case for you, but when you're dealing with, you know, a space that you don't own, right? You're leasing. You're kind of at the mercy of what the previous people did, right? Yeah.
This isn't my favorite part for sure.
Yeah.
That's not why I signed up for it. Yeah. Which is why I don't have on the horizon yet, like the next place. You know, I'd rather deal with the small place problems than the big place problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think once, you know, I have my offerings, right? I have my offerings to the parents that I have kids going through a program, getting ready to compete, getting them ready to compete. Because for me, I'm not just going to throw kids into tournaments.
Right.
And we can talk about this too. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
If a kid, I wouldn't send a child out to lift weights, heavy weights.
Right.
Right. They're not ready. Their bones aren't ready.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't send them into competition without getting them ready. And it's almost impossible. So the problem is, you know, with kids, it's like, how do I separate outcome from my self-worth? Like, how do I do that? And as adults, we can barely do that. Like, how you're doing in life is who you are as a person, indicative of your value, right? And we fight tooth and nail. I am worthy. I have value. I am enough. You know, all of these things. And now we're just like, hey, kids, you need to be able to do that. And, you know, good luck in the tournament, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And so, you know, I want to have this program for kids so we can get them ready if they want. It can be a great tool for kids. Yeah. It can be. And it can also not be. It can be giving them weights when their bones aren't ready. Yeah. And so we don't want them. We want it to be something that helps build resiliency. Yeah. Right. That helps build self-confidence. That they can practice this idea of I am worthy no matter the outcome. Right. Yeah. And so what practices do we put in place? Well, we need to analyze why. First of all, understand, why are we competing? Well, I'm competing to see my jiu-jitsu. Do they know that? Or do they think they have to go get a medal from mom and dad? Like, right? Yeah. Like, why are we competing? Well, because competing shows me where the weaknesses are and shows me what I'm doing well. It shows my progress. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it can be important to compete. Why? Do they understand why they're competing? And then, like, do they understand goal setting? Right? So here's my process goal. I want to train 4 times a week for 6 weeks leading up to the tournament. Yeah. Yeah. I want, what's my performance goals? man, I want to pull guard, get into my guard, and play from my guard position, whatever it is, whatever. You know, what are my performance goals? Write them down. Okay. Of course, we all have our outcome goals. We all want to win. Yeah. Okay. You want a gold medal outcome goal. Cool. Yeah. Right. So, but where do we put our focus? Yeah, we should visualize ourselves on the top of the podium. Yes, we should have an outcome goal. I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And also, what am I trying to accomplish today? And did I accomplish those things? And then after the tournament, man, what are 3 things that I did really well today? Hey, what are 3 things I need to go back and work on and talk to my coach about and practice? Yeah. Just analyze, because why did I compete? I competed to get better. I competed to see where I'm at and see my progress. Okay. Well, then let's let the message and the things that we do around competition back that up with the kids. I can say to them, hey, I love you no matter what. Hey, son, I love you no matter what. Doesn't matter win or lose. And then we don't do anything to back that up. And yes, that can help. And yes, say that. Yes, let them know. But also help them. You know, we need our actions to match, and we need it to make sense. Like, no, I really am trying to improve. Okay, cool. Cool.
I think that probably some of the most important coaching that I've ever done are 10 seconds after a match is over. That is probably the most important thing. And I never let them dwell on what they did wrong. I always tell them, I'm so proud of you. And I remind them of what they did during the process. You trained so hard for this. Maybe we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, but I'm so proud of your performance. And then I'll tell them, you went out there, you look so confident, right? You did this well, you did that well. The outcome is what it is. I think if we can get them to fall in love with the process, that's going to expand to so many other things that, you know, no 8th place medal could ever fix.
This is amazing. This is amazing. It's very different to show kids how to find their wins than it is to blow smoke up their ass. It's not like, oh, you were better than that kid. And if the referee wouldn't have done this, and you're the best one here, and you're, you know.
Or that kid was really big.
We can make excuses. This is another layer to make excuses for them. This isn't helping them. This isn't support either. So like struggles and challenge and hardship with support equals resiliency. Without equals fragility. It's not support to give them excuses why. Right? Support's just sit in it. Like, that was hard. Right? Oh, yeah. They must feel, hey, cry, buddy. I get it. Man. You need, This is our brain doing the work. We need to process these emotions. You know, like, this is support. Like, just sit in this loss and know it sucks and I'm gonna be okay. Right? And this is really cool, helping them understand where was their victories without making excuses for them. Where were they winning? We need to be able to do this. I spent my blue belt year pretending like I was winning. Like, oh, you didn't choke me from side control. You took my back for 5 minutes, but you couldn't choke me. Like, I was delusionally finding my wins, and it was keeping me in jiu-jitsu, you know? And we need to know how to do this without, I didn't walk away saying, I'm the best one in that room. I'm just walking away saying, like, hey, you couldn't submit me from my back. That's it. You know, it's a very true statement, but I need to keep finding my wins to keep me in. I walk away every day feeling like a loser. Like, how long am I going to do jiu-jitsu?
Right.
And this is the human thing. This is not kid thing. This is just us as humans. So.
I love that. And separating what defines us versus that outcome is super important for everybody. And me included. Me included.
Right. Coaches.
Because you know, maybe the kids didn't perform as well, or you know, the adults didn't perform as well as you thought they would, and right away it's like, okay, what am I doing wrong? What, instead of saying, okay, what did I see? Right? What's really happening, and how can I fix that? Right? If it's a mental error, okay, if it's a discipline error, that one's on me, right? I didn't put enough discipline into their game to make them more patient, right? Patience, and teach them that. Okay, that one's on me. You know, if they're not listening, okay, I didn't build that trust, right, or that connection with that student, so where it should almost be in you know. It's good and it's bad when you're coaching someone and it's like a video game.
Yes.
Do this. Do that. Do this. Now, you know what always runs through my head when they're doing that? I better not screw this up. But yeah, there is that connection piece that you talked about earlier that needs to be you know, instilled in the students, and that comes from you know, being on the mat with them and, you know, sweating and bleeding with them.
For the adults, I'm walking around coaching and I'm learning, like, ooh, this person more of a video game. This person's like more of a suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, this person, you know, so and I'm not big on the video game coaching, you know, but that connection, that rapport, that understanding, you practice coaching them so you can see like, ooh, this guy's probably not going to listen to me, and that's okay. That means when I got to set him up at the beginning for some sort of intention, like, hey, I really want you to focus on staying on top, or whatever the thing is, like very, very broad intention at the beginning, and then hope for the best, right? Yeah. And this is why I'm really, really big in class on the parents not coaching. So it's not soccer practice. Right. You know, you can, you know, not even go, honestly. Yeah. You know, we're just, because this is not important to win here. Right. Right. In fact, they don't know this yet, but it's important they lose here. Yes. And they're trying the technique here and losing. Yes. So, but I do tell the parents, hey, I'm trying to build, I want them to listen to me. I need them to hear my voice. Yeah. They're already programmed to hear yours, already going to be looking to you. So it's really, really important that they're only trying to find my voice. Yeah. 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 And so, this week, as I go into this week, I've decided that like the kind of the homework assignment for the class for the parents is going to be finding the wins. Oh, right? Nice. Yeah. Because kid does his sparring, walks over to the parent. The parent says, you have 2 hands. Why are you using 2 hands? You know, why are you just using 1 hand? You know? And they're like, okay, you know, and I can guess maybe what, or, you know, I don't know what that connection is. Maybe that the child is not feeling like they aren't enough. Maybe they're not. I'm not saying, but to me, I'm saying like, wow, you know, what he's doing is enough, and all of this stuff is going to come. Yeah. And to walk over and just like 6 to 1 here, like 6 positives and then a critique. I love that. Right. Like, so like, I'm going to encourage the parents to sit there and be like, what's going right? Yeah. You know? And if you don't know jiu-jitsu, it's okay. Man, they're working hard. Man, they're getting better. Yeah. Man, they're using their legs more. Coach said that was good. So, you know, and they come over like, yeah, you're using your legs a lot, you know? And just sit in that and just see if you can. You don't need to coach them honestly. Yeah. You don't need to give a suggestion honestly. Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, I have to coach my son, but really, I it's the only child in the room not masking and bringing his best self. So I turn around a lot to them, my friends in the room, the mom friends. I'm like, this is my hardest one. This is the one. This is the one. You know, and I'm letting him do his thing and you know be who he needs to be in the moment. But yeah, I want to push the parents this week to start looking at what's going right, and if the child comes over, you know, to let them know that. Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is that it's such a beautiful form of self-expression that you can almost tell the kid's personality by how they move. Oh my gosh. Right? Yes. Isn't that wild? Yeah. Like I can tell like what kind of kid they are at home. You know, what kind of kid they are at school just by the way they move during jiu-jitsu. It's so beautiful. I like to see brothers and like that one goes that way, that one goes that, because they have nothing in common. They're totally different. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, listen, we've been going for about an hour and 20, do some 25. Editing, Alex. Yeah. No, this has been one of my favorite podcasts. Yeah, you shared a lot of cool stuff, and you should really start doing seminars for kids program. I'm serious. Cool. Yeah. I'm serious. I like this idea. Yeah. I do. I want to get into the coaching community and see what I can do. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. You know, one thing that we're lacking, I think that used to be a big thing was certified coaching. And I think you have all of the makings of an amazing certified coaching program for kids that I think, honestly, I'd love to come by and see how you do it. Okay. I'd love to come by and just check out one of your classes if you don't mind. Please do. Because you were very generous with your information today. Is there anything you want to talk about that we didn't? Because you have a giant pile of notes. I know. That's because I'm nervous. I overly prepare and never look at the ones. But that's awesome. Yeah. No, I thank you for all that we touched on, all that you allowed me to talk about. Yeah. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. We will definitely do this again. Okay. Yeah, at some point I definitely want to do this again. Yeah, I'll learn a lot in the next 3 months. Yeah. So let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find your academy, and how they can get in touch with you if they're in the is it Levine? Yeah, Levine South Mountain. Yep. So South Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yep. We're on 27th Avenue and Southern. Okay. Yep. And South Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So please like and follow Sarah and South Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're going to get a lot out of it. So they're, like I said, very generous with your information. If you got something out of this podcast, if you loved it, please like and subscribe. We are the BJJ Foxcast on Instagram, on YouTube. Don't go to my webpage because I haven't put any time into that. But Sarah, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Alex. Awesome. Yeah.